Doug Flynn joins us now with more on all of this. Certified financial planner, co-founder at Flynn Zito Capital Management. And in stocks, you can pick up on that, Doug, but I also wanted to mention oil prices because we've done a number of stories and had a number of conversations today about, what's happening in the Red Sea and all these companies rerouting their shipping routes and what have you. What about oil prices? Will they keep going up, do you think?
Well, any kind of disruption will definitely raise prices a little bit. We got below $70 a barrel, and anything below 80 is pretty good for us. So it ticked up a little bit, and that's to be expected as companies have to reroute and spend more money on that, moving things around. So that's to be expected. And traders are taking advantage of that as well in the anticipation of it getting a little bit higher before it settles back down again.
But
so
no
I think
impact
that's very normal.
On this crazy stock market rally that we've seen. Does that keep on going?
It can, but I don't think, a 1% move in oil prices is enough to do that. We would take a bit more than that. I think if it keeps going or turns into something bigger, then it definitely will put a damper on the big rally that we've been having for the last couple of weeks.
All right, a couple of headlines to go through in the business world today. One involves Elon Musk's company, or one of them, and that is Tesla. Tesla is going to raise pay for Nevada Gigafactory workers in January. So we've talked about this story in the past in the context of Tesla will raise your pay because they want to keep the unions away. That seems to be what's happening here. What do you make of it?
Yes, I mean the union after their big wins earlier in the year against the big three came out and said they're absolutely coming after Toyota and Tesla as who they want to try to unionize. Mm-hmm. And so Toyota earlier raised pay, and now Tesla is following suit. And they're doing that because, if you don't do that, a couple things happen. One is that will keep things rumbling for maybe unionizing, or the second thing that can happen is you can lose your talent to higher paying workers, to higher paying places for those workers. So I think they had to do that. And the raise isn't insignificant. It's a pretty good amount, a 10%-ish, depending on where you are in their pay scale. But I think they had to do that, and it's wise to do it. And they certainly can afford to do it, especially since Tesla doesn't pay pretty much 1 red cent for advertising, unlike the other companies that you see ads for every day.
Yeah, they don't have to with you and I talking about them all the time, I guess. It's like that's our own fault on that one. They get a lot of free advertising and a lot of buzz around the company. Some good and, some not so good sometimes, but this is interesting. Last point here about artificial intelligence. Bill Gates writes one of these letters. A lot of people do this, but when it's Bill Gates, it gets attention. These annual letters that people put out sort of at the end of the year. And Bill Gates wrote about AI, why I'm optimistic about the future of AI. So this brings up a few points. So let me read a quote from it. In order to maximize their benefit, we need to tackle some of the broad risks associated with AI, including how to prevent bias and hallucinations. Hallucinations refers to times when an AI system confidently makes some claim that simply is not true, which could be disastrous in a medical context. Although some researchers think hallucinations are a problem inherent to AI technology, I don't agree. Bill Gates, I'm optimistic that over time, AI models can be taught to distinguish fact from fiction. So big picture here, it sounds like he's pretty optimistic about the future of artificial intelligence. Some people focus, Elon Musk, for example, often on the risk, and it seems like Bill Gates is talking about the possibility. What do you think?
He definitely is, and I think reading into that letter, he thinks we're going to have a much more widespread adoption in the next 1.5 to 2 years. The thing I found most compelling about the letter was how he broke it down and said that the main lesson was that the product has to really get down to the individual people who use it. So when I think about that, what he was saying is sort of in medical applications, for example, having AI get down to maybe the local area level and determine what specific drugs, what duration, and what dosage would they need in this place versus that place to attack a particular virus or particular outbreak. And I found that quite fascinating because we don't tend to do that. Like the flu shot is like, this is the flu shot you get. Yes. And there's no individualness to it. And so whether it's that or whether it's, personalizing, even tutoring for an individual student who learns differently and uniquely. So those things I think are really compelling. And I think that was what I took from the letter in a very positive sense. Yes, there are a lot of issues that we have to work through with AI, but if these applications are true, he's probably right in that the latter half of this decade could see a big next tech tech boom around that. And so we're seeing some of that with some of the tech stocks, of course.
Yeah, and right. And of course, for all the risk that's out there, it is nice to hear that, especially in medicine. I hadn't thought until, having this conversation as much about education, but obviously that's another one. Especially in medicine, there's so many possibilities for the future where it could really, really help. Doug, thank you. Doug Flynn on the Business News for us today. As we